What's up, everybody? Welcome to Metal Remains Backstage. I'm Manuel, I'm in Madrid, and with me, as always, is my friend Carlos Cortez in New York City.
Hi, everybody.
And we have a special guest from Budapest, Sue from the Hellfreaks.
Hi, everyone. So happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we're very excited since we got to know your band through your music videos, which we're going to talk about in a bit. But we wanted to know, how are you today?
I'm doing actually great. I'm like in a good mood. Yeah.
Great.
So it's all cool.
Oh, great. So we'd like to start asking, what have you been listening to these days?
You know, the thing is, I'm listening very different type of music. Today, I checked the new Paramore album, because when I was young, Paramore was like a big thing. So I was like checking what is going on with the band, and I knew they just dropped the new album. So that was what I'm listening today. I don't know what to think about it right now. I mean, I really know how it is if you don't want to do the same thing that you have done in the past. So I can absolutely understand that they did not do the same thing. It's just a bit unexpected for me.
All right, cool. We are fortunate enough to have listened to Pitch Black Sunset, your upcoming fifth album coming out on April 14th through Napalm Records. And by the time this interview is up, we have also released a review for it, and everybody can check it out in our YouTube channel. We're going to share our thoughts about it with you. But before that, please tell us, how impatient are you right now for that day to come?
Ooh, very. Dude, we have like, okay, you know, as a band, it is very normal that you record your material and then it takes quite a long till you can drop it because the process takes long. And I'm used to that. But this time it was crazy. Actually, we started the recording of the whole album and the whole process like 2 years ago or even more. And we finished with the mix and with the mastered version. So that means for our viewers, that is the final version of your recording. It was done in June, July, something like this. Mm-hmm. So what was very difficult, that it took ages till we knew when it's going to get released. So they were going so many month by till we knew what the release date is, that this was the very hard part. So around like September, October, or November, I was literally sick that I just don't know when we can drop the new music, because the whole summer we recorded music video after music video after music video. And of course, you would love to share all the moments when you're doing this, but you cannot. So you just can drop like little maybe pictures, some little behind the scene, but you cannot show what the song is about. You cannot show how it will look. So it was like, it is always very difficult when you're doing a lot behind the curtain, but you cannot show it to the people. So it was very hard. But from the moment on when we released, actually it's not the first single, because the first single of the album is All Tomorrows that we have released in 2021 when we joined Napalm Records. But when we released, let's say the second single, which was like from this album, it was in January. That was the moment when I felt like, now we're good. Now we're back again.
Some relief.
Back to life.
So, exactly. You know, we have a very globally fan base. So for me, whenever we drop a music video or drop a new single, that's for me like a very big thing, because that's when I can get in touch with all the people from all around the world. Of course, I also like to be and do shows, no question. But that is the moment when people would like to get in touch with us and when we start to talk with our fan base. So I just very much enjoy and love these weeks, because now we just drop single after single, and that's great.
Yeah, it gives you some relief from the pressure and from the stress of not letting go.
yes. And you know, I'm not saying that I'm doing music just for the audience, but for me, it just means so much. You can say, I mean, I know that there are a lot of artists who are saying that they don't care about the feedback. But for me, I care a lot. I care a lot because whenever someone is writing that, I don't know, this song means much to them because of this, and there are crazy stories. That means so much to me. It gives me so much power and it motivates me so much to do this because it's so difficult time to time to do this.
Yeah, I think feedback is very important because
Yes.
otherwise you're screaming to the void and nothing comes back. You're just maybe just wasting energy, I would think. And it's very important to have that.
Yeah,
It helps you grow too.
Especially in these days, social media changed a lot. And I think it doesn't change in a good way because the negative voice is just getting louder and louder compared to the positive voice. I'm just saying like all around on social media. It's not such a positive place like it could be. And I know that especially in a place like this, when you release something, you expect that, of course, there are going to be negative voices. But then when you do this in a place like this and you get all that positive feedback, it all makes sense immediately to me.
Right. When listening to Pitch Black Sunset, we hear different flavors in your music, from punk to modern metal to hardcore. How do you define your own sound?
I think everything lays in our own history, because it is important to share that we are doing this shit since 40 years now. It's a lot. And in our history, we had a point back in 2014 when we split up as a band, because we started as a psychobilly band, which was something very, very, very different.
Yeah, I've heard the first video. It's a different thing.
Very different. It's a different world. But back then I was almost a teenager, so I also grew up. So a lot of things happened since then. And when we split up, we did it because of a million reasons. But one of the reasons on my side was that I felt like I cannot do what I want in that genre anymore, because it was very, very limited. It's a cool genre, but it's very limited. You can just do a certain things there. And if you don't do it, it's not accepted. And after we said that we are done with this shit, but after a half year, we got an invitation to a festival in the USA. And then this was like an email when we decided, okay, this is a sign. Let's continue this band, but let's change everything that causes the problems. So that was the moment in 2015 when we said that we will not force us to stick to any genre. We will just do whatever we feel we would like to do. And I was like a typical scene kid. I grew up with punk music, I grew up with hardcore music, and I grew up with metal music. And all my bandmates are kind of the same. They had the same rounds, they had the same musical taste. And this musical taste is crazy wide. I mean, even metal has so many subgenres and so many aspects. So when we started to do music, all it was clear, and it is still, I think, the direction what we are doing, that is going to be something between punk music, because the attitude that we have and the type of, I don't know, time to time, even we're pissed off feeling comes from that genre. But we would like to mix it with metal, because metal is the music that can it fits to all the feelings. I think it can be very, very emotional in a good way. And you can express yourself so great. It's as I said, because if it's a so big and wide range of a genre, it is perfect to use it in your music, because you will never see any limitations, because there are no limitations. And since that, it's a kind of natural process, because it started as more punk music. And I said, this is how I feel about it. Maybe you will say that you don't hear this, but this is how I feel about it. It's just getting more and more aggressive with the time. And I am very happy about this changement, because this is what I feel naturally. This is what I like to do. Also, like vocal technique wise, I'm just so it is a very, very natural process for us, and it's something between punk and between metal.
And I wanted to add something that's not scripted. Sorry, Carlos, but I think it's important. You talked about vocal growth, vocal improvement, or diversification. I feel that. I think the first song I heard from you was "Hit Me Where It Hurts." And we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but I think it was a bit different from what I was expecting. Maybe I thought all the songs were going to sound like that, because for me it's the most metal one. Let's say the more like almost a melodic death metal song, modern one will be. But I think it's important that you have this variety, because otherwise it's just another band. But are you planning to go into more into that environment for the next compositions?
Dude, I never know where it goes. So for me, I would say my personal favorites from the album are also "Hit Me Where It Hurts" and "Weeping Willow." But also "Weeping Willow" is one of my favorite because of the end of the song.
I thought it was like a ballad at first.
Yeah.
But once you hear it goes back to aggression very quickly.
We're gonna talk about that song in particular in a few.
Yeah, so I personally very much enjoy doing the aggressive vocals, and right now at this point I definitely want to use it because it's just super fun to do it, and I can express feelings with that that I maybe cannot in that way with the normal clear vocals, clean vocals. I can talk with the clean vocals, but even though I'm sure that I will never be the type of singer who would only work with growls and with scream and stuff like that. I like to sing, but I very much enjoyed it to mix it with the more aggressive side of me.
and the different vocal techniques that you're using match perfectly with the music, with the style of composition the band is doing.
Thank you.
Because it creates this blend of different things, and it keeps you focused on what's going on, because you never know what's gonna come next in a song. It starts like one way, and then it goes a different way, and then it's very intense. It's very intense.
That's a Hellfreaks thing. We like to surprise people, and we like to do unexpected thing. I think this is something we really enjoy to do. So
and we enjoy listening to it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because as listeners, you don't have time to settle into one particular mood. You are being taken like in a story from place to place and from emotion to emotion.
So talking about some of the lyrics, the album begins with "All Tomorrows" after the intro, of course.
Are you ready?
That seems to are you ready? And that song seems to challenge establishment, traditionalism, and is backed up by the unique sound of your band.
Yeah, what can you tell us about that? Is that like a challenge to the traditional music genres?
It is. I think "All Tomorrows" is a song that reflects very much the past and the future, not just lyric wise, but also instrumental wise, because you can hear the more classic punk side, but you also have the little bit of metal freshness with the very melodical chorus. And it is, I never wanted to challenge the music industry, because that's never the goal of us. We were never the band who said, oh, we would like to make unique music, because it's impossible. There are just million bands like there outside. I think the only thing that was always important for us, that we never said that we would like to sound like X, Y, Z. It was never a goal to sound like anyone else. It was just the goal to, as I said, to go with that natural process that we feel like. And I think "All Tomorrows" was for us like a big one bigger step to a new direction that we are today, because it was already a bit more aggressive than it was with "God on the Run." So I think it was the perfect song to make like the next step for the band to Pitch Black Sunset.
One of the lyrics that hit me where it hurt is the song Ruthless Soul Riot, when you sing too Western for the East, too Eastern for the West, as it's exactly the way I feel when it comes to our position as Metal Remains in the metal community as a metal outlet. We're not seen by local promoters as local enough or international enough, but how does this translate to you? Where did this inspiration come to you as the songwriter?
So I am very happy that, first of all, you could relate with this line, because I know that there will be a lot of people who can relate with this. For me, this line was born because of the specific situation that we are Hungarians. It is quite strange because, it is like, I'm always saying that we are East Europeans, but a lot of Hungarians would saying, no, we are Central European. Western Europeans saying that we are East European. East Europeans saying that we belong more to the Central. And it's more like we are very close to the Western part, and we see how the Western culture is living and what their standards are. And it's far from the life standard that we have, And then on the other side, there are the Hungarians, which is a very specific culture, and it is very different. And it is very mixed at this point. There are people who have absolutely the Western mindset, but there are also people who are stuck so deeply in the past that it's almost impossible to have these two type of people together at the table for a conversation. Yeah. So I always felt like, I personally, just for my background story, I grew up in Austria, which has a very, very Western culture. Or I didn't grow up, I was a child in Austria. Like my first 10 years, I was in Austria. And then we moved to Hungary. And actually, I still often don't feel like I belong to this country because I did not grow up with this culture. And there are so many different things that I don't feel that they belong to me. Even though I love the people who are here. Of course, I love my family, and that's why I'm still here. And I think that Budapest, where I live, is such a beautiful city. So I'm not saying that it's a shitty place. I just say that I often did not feel that I belong here. But then when I go to Western Europe, I also lived, a few years ago, I lived for a few years in Berlin. And I just felt the stamp that the people put on me, that she's an Eastern European, she has other... I know it sounds rude, but I always felt like they think that less is enough for me because I'm Eastern European. And because of that, I always felt like, I don't belong to the Western part because I belong to Eastern Europe, but I don't belong to Eastern Europe because my mindset is not Eastern enough. So it's, this is... Yeah. So
yeah, that's the struggle.
That's the struggle. Exactly.
Yeah, that's totally very clear and understandable. And it applies to different walks of life, different people, different situations. I must say, since I am from El Salvador, living in the US, I feel now that I have been here for 10 years that I still don't belong to this country because I wasn't born and raised here. I came here as an adult. But if I go back to my country, I no longer belong there because I don't live there anymore. So I totally understand the question. So in our weekly Metal Remains podcast that everyone should check out in our YouTube channel, we like to make short summaries of the videos we discuss every week. And our summary for the video of the song Hit Me Where It Hurts was: girl takes a nap after eating an apple and discovers she has bad breath.
Almost.
Can you tell us
Can you tell us something about that video? Yeah.
Okay, so Hit Me Where It Hurts is in general about about the moment when you're stuck in a dream or you're holding too much to, let's say, to hope that is never going to get true. Because time to time, I mean, it's true that you should not give up on your dream, whatever it is. But time to time, it is healthier if we give up. And to know this place when this is, it is very difficult to see. It often happens in relationships. It's the typical toxic relationship when you're just stuck in and you can't get out. And actually, the situation is just getting worse and worse. But you think that, oh, maybe it's getting better because I already put so much energy in it. But it's never getting better. And it's the same. It's not, I mean, the song is not really about relationships, but I almost never sing about that topic. I don't know why.
Can be
But
a
it's not
job
about
too.
the top. Exactly. It can be a job. It can be, I don't know, for example, I knew that feeling. When I was growing up, I was a gymnast when I was a child. And then also later on, I was a professional gymnast. But then, and all my life was about gymnast. I was like 6 day a week doing training. This was my whole life. Everything about was that. But
That's
then,
intense.
yeah, but then I had an injury. And from one day to the other, I had to stop this because it was not possible for me to continue. And it was, I mean, there was no going back. There was no alternative. There was no option to continue it. But even though I clearly remember that it took almost years till I could really accept that in my head, that it's not possible. And even though I did everything to realize that dream, it couldn't come true. So it is I think it is a very difficult place where all of us time to time find ourselves in this situation. And so the apple that you were talking about in the video is that toxic situation that time to time you just have to bite in that apple, and you just have to I don't know, but what's the English word for it? Not taking a sip, like what's that word? I
Swallow.
don't remember.
Swallow it.
Thank you. You just have to time swallow it and get over it. And even though it hurts, that changement, but it will help yourself out of this really bad situation that you are in, and it's a necessary step.
Yeah, it's part of the healing process.
Yeah.
And we completely love your screams during the song, as I told you before. I think they're great, and I'm happy that you are exploring more into that side of music, because you sound good. And what can I tell you? If you do it nicely, you should take advantage of it.
Thank you. That makes me very happy.
Great. We also would like to talk about the song Weeping Willow, a song that has a totally different dynamic than the rest of the album. It carries a lot of deep emotions, and after reading the lyrics, it seems to portray someone who is going through a very difficult situation. Can you please share with us what the song is about?
Yeah, the song is about mental health. To be more specific, it's about depression. And it is I know that there are a lot of songs out about mental health, and I think that everyone, or a lot of us, have their own aspects on this topic. And these lyrics are like it is very raw and very straightforward and very honest, without asking for any excuses while I write these lyrics. It is about those very, very deep moments when you don't look for the light, when you're just in this very deep place, in this very deep dark place, and when you truly believe that there is no way out. And it is something that I wanted to talk for a long while. Also because I grew up in an environment where depression was actually all my life, part of my life, maybe from another aspect, but it was always part of my life since I can remember. So for me, that is a very personal topic. And I just, I always try somehow, or at least I'm not saying it always makes sense, but I try Doesn't matter what kind of topic I write, I always try to bring out some positivity at the end. But Weeping Willow is like a car crash. I'm not searching for any light in that lyrics. There is no good advice how to get out of it, or it is really just about that raw feeling when you feel like that there is no fucking way out of this. And it is also like a very odd one out song because of the songwriting, because this is the only song that was written based on the lyrics and based on the vocal melodies, because normally we always start with the instrumental part and the last step is actually the vocal melody and the lyrics. So this is the only song that was written in another direction. And it was this song was kind of like my own project, because this was something where I said that I want to do this and I want to do this way and I don't want to change it. I want to have it like I have the main idea, so let's do it this way. So for me, this is a very crazy special song. I really and I really love how it turned out.
I think that going back to what you said before, if a person in this situation listens to you singing about it, they will say, if someone as cool as Sue is singing this and saying this, how can't I overcome this situation?
Yeah, I don't think that they will think this. Maybe they will think that this is something naturally what happens with us, and that we can overcome it, or maybe it is just a line that in the lyrics that is going to help you, because you can relate with that line so significant that you're saying that, okay, this is something that also others are going through, so I can do this as well. Maybe if it just gives so little hope, then it makes sense. And I wanted to keep it dark, and I wanted to keep it as raw as it is, because it is when you are in this point, you don't hear the positive things. But maybe if you can read something that relates to the same feeling, that's going to open something in you.
Great. Thank you for that song. And I'm sure it's going to help a lot of people there to carry on.
I hope
and that's
so.
the beautiful thing about music and about metal and all these type of bands that do extreme music and fast music. There is always a message there that help a lot of people out there to carry on and just to simply enjoy life and be your best and stay true to yourself. And I think that's the point. Mm-hmm. So for our final question, Sue, can you share with us one of your favorite backstage moments?
Yeah. One of my favorite moments was actually quite at the beginning of the band. It was like 2013 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were quite new in this whole thing. And I remember that we played at a festival in Czech Republic. It's still there. It's called Podparu. And it was so cool because the backstages were like 2 and 2 backstages were always like the doors were like open together, so it was like whatever band you get in the other backstage, you were actually together. And we arrived there, and then like just a few minutes later, the Misfits stepped in, and it just turned out that the Misfits are like our backstage partner. And I was like, back then I was like, what is happening? This is so cool. And they were super nice and super kind, like how the big bands always are. They were very, very amazing. So that was an awesome moment.
Cool. Very nice.
I'm pretty sure someday in the future there will be a band that will say the same, but with you, that you were the band they got to be with, and they will be happy about
it.
Yes, indeed.
We are kind and clean people. We are good backstage partners.
Cool.
Okay, so Sue, thank you very much for joining us for this interview.
Thank you so much.
We had a great time. And everybody watching, if you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Make sure to follow our Instagram page, and also Hellfreaks. Take a look at their Pitch Black Sunset album, which is supposed to be coming out by the time that this interview is up. Support them whenever they come to your city, and make sure to buy and stream their music. Sue, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. I hope we can do this again in the future in person whenever you play in one of our cities.
That will be awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It was such a great time. It was great to chat with you. So, guys, thank you so much. And yeah, keep in touch.
Thank you. And until next time, ram pam pam pam.